WGR Rochester, the sports leader. 95.7 FM and AM 950 WGR Rochester, an Odyssey sports station. Welcome into the Sports Bar with Gene Battaglia, where the voice of the Rochester fan is heard. Pull up a stool and join us at 866-4326. This is WGR Rochester, and the Sports Bar with Gene Battaglia is on now.
2 hours of sports talk excellence here in the Flower City. You found us, 95.7 FM and AM 950, always streaming for free inside the Odyssey app. From the downtown studios here in Rochester, New York, under cloudy skies, my name is Gene Battaglia. We're also streaming on YouTube and Twitch, where you can leave us a comment there. You can also write to us on all social media platforms. We're keeping an eye on X. At WGR Rochester is our handle. Fun show today. I'm coming in. Usually I like to, prep all morning, so to speak, sell all morning. I had to go to a funeral this morning. Lost my godfather this morning, age 80, Bill Danza. And over the years, when I started doing the show, he'd be like, hey, it's great. And we'd always talk Bills. But then he'd always bust my chops saying, hey, when are you going to talk about the Tour de France? Because here in Rochester, little did I know that there is a cycling community. And, why don't you talk about the Tour de France? Okay, Lance Armstrong, Greg LeMond, beautiful apps, I got nothing.
Floyd Landis. That's my contribution. That's all I got.
So, in honor of you, Uncle Bill, Jasper Philipsen capped a fine team performance today to win Stage 17 of the Tour de France, where Tadej Pogačar protected his overall lead. And that is the Tour de France Minute.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. Welcome on in. Gene Battaglia with you. He is Tim Schneider, our fine producer. Dan DeLorean, who is kind of camera shy. I think that's why. He just doesn't want to be in front of the camera here in the studio. He ducks over to the other hallway. Francesco sitting in the studio today, just kind of hanging out here. It's kind of like I kind of, it's like a bar. It's like kind of a men's club. We got a fun show here lined up today. PJ Glasser, who is going to be in town next week. How cool is that going to be? His brother Nathan interns for the Rochester Red Wings, and so he and his parents are visiting his younger brother next week. So PJ is going to give us a few minutes to actually come in studio. But in advance of that, we'll talk to PJ about some winners. Now, we've got an interesting day in baseball where, all right, the key matchups from where we sit, right? Yankees, Red Sox, they got rained out last night. Day-night doubleheaders coming up, and they're going to start here within minutes. So we'll keep you updated on the Sox and the Orioles. Can they make it 15 in a row? That's Boston. We'll keep you updated on the Yankees, who – that's an interesting doubleheader, right? You have Cole going in Game 1. Max Fried is back going in Game 2 tonight. We'll talk about what he likes in baseball. And also, as we get closer and closer to Week 0, PJ is a college football nut, if you listen to him during the season. Last week, we sort of previewed the ACC just a little bit. We kind of rolled our eyes at Syracuse, and don't take any bets on that. But PJ, yes, two teams he identified. Miami, of course, and Louisville. All right. Maybe that's one you want to, if you're going to place a future bet, maybe Louisville, courtesy of PJ Glasser. Who does PJ like in the SEC? The SEC going in the news this week, too, right? Oh, like they're sending out a smoke signal. They might break away from the NCAA. And if they break away from the NCAA, that's going to put everybody else on notice. Okay, are we going to do this too? It's been something we've been expecting for a long, long time. Just as long as our viewing experience as fans remains the same. I'm not talking about big-time college football. I'm talking about March Madness, right? I don't want there to be two entities. I don't know how that would all look, but we'll get the thoughts of PJ Glasser. He's coming up in hour number 2. A guy who played college football at the highest level. He's from Pittsford. Charlie Schumann, former Penn State Nittany Lion, will join us. He's our injury expert. Now, of course, 1 week from today, the Buffalo Bills will have their first practice in the books. Isn't that crazy to think how time moves on quickly? Like the NFL season kind of sort of starts today. 2 teams reporting to camp, that being Arizona and Carolina. Why those 2 teams? Well, those are the 2 teams in the Hall of Fame game, which, boy, you must be really, really starved to be circling that on your calendar. But you know what? We're junkies. We will tune in for Arizona, Carolina on a Thursday night on NBC. But I digress. The Bills coming back tomorrow, 1 week from tomorrow. And the idea that you have Josh Allen, he's fine, right? We don't have any concerns about that foot, or do we? Michael Hoyt, the Achilles injury. Like, how do you rehab that? He was supposed to be the jack of all trades, kind of like that Swiss Army knife, so to speak. We never really saw that. Well, I guess we saw it for like one game, right? Well, all right, the Achilles injury. When can we expect him back? And also, if you're a Giant fan, what the hell is Cam Scadaboo doing? We'll talk to Charlie Schumann from Lattimore Physical Therapy. He'll be coming up here bottom of this hour. You're always welcome to join us at 585-866-4326. That's the Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub Wingman line. Award-winning barbecue from Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub, 135 West Commercial Street, East Rochester, goodsmokebbq.com. The proverbial table is set. Now, if you miss any of our show, we're always free inside the Odyssey app, 1 to 3 Eastern. But Dan DeLorean does a great job getting the audio in bite-sized form if you just want to listen to a segment. And yesterday, from Jeremy and Joe, our morning show, Joe DiBiase joined us. And it was a 50-50 kind of interview. First part was the Sabres, and certainly we have lingering questions about this team. One takeaway from that, we're going to start off the season with Yuri Kulik in Rochester. I am convinced. Like, one training camp in the NHL, not long enough after you miss that significant amount of time. He can be sent down. You don't have to clear the waivers. Kulik may not like it, but that might be prudent. And then Kulik gets in, I don't know, 2 weeks, a month, whatever it is. And it just kind of puts everybody on notice. Hey, do you want to keep your ice time up here in Buffalo? Well, okay, then perform, because we've got Kulik there waiting in the wings. The Hellebuck, all right, he thinks that there's a good chance that it actually could happen for the Buffalo Sabres. But when it comes to the Buffalo Bills, and this was my take, because what makes training camp so interesting is you have all these storylines. And if you go to camp, sure, it's fun to watch the 11-on-11, 7-on-7. But if you're really, really dialing in, who are you watching? And you could say, well, I'm watching the corner position. And sure, that's important. Like, will IGB, Davison Igbinosun, take over here for Maxwell Harrison? That's interesting. But I'm going to take a step further. Who are they covering in camp? The easiest position to kind of, figure out here for fans is wide receiver. We're inclinated to lean that way just because, well, fantasy football. Always figuring out, okay, who's the fifth, who's the sixth wide receiver. But can we get anything definitive this camp in terms of, all right, is Keon Coleman taking that step forward? Is Keon Coleman, is he A, earning a spot on this team, B, can he become a contributor? We talked about this yesterday with Joe DiBiase.
I think some guys are deserving of the hype right away, and other guys, you have to just take the approach of, I'll believe it when I see it on the field in game action. And I think Coleman is absolutely one of those people. I remember watching Coleman last year and thinking, he's looking good in the one-on-one drills, but I always thought it was a little confusing when everybody just thought he's having an incredible training camp all the way around. Like, I didn't think he was bad, but I thought he struggled getting open when they started going into those 7-on-7 drills or 11-on-11, and corners were allowed to get a little bit more physical. Christian Benford would be covering him, and he wasn't able to get any separation. And like, okay, this is more of what you saw in his rookie season, and how much do I really want to care in these one-on-one drills? Sometimes where he's going up against an intern. He's not even going up against a guy that's on the team, and he's making a spectacular catch. So I think with Coleman, absolutely the approach needs to be taken of no matter what he does in training camp. Like, this is earned. Like, you've struggled through 2 years, and there have been, of course, maturity problems off the field that you have to take the approach of you can't buy into it until you start to see it in the regular season, but you don't have to do that with everybody. So any of these rookies or new pieces in play and they're really looking good, it's part of being a fan. I think you should allow yourself to be excited about the new guys that you haven't seen before. But I mean, you bringing up Coleman, like, for me is like, absolutely, you can't fire up the hype machine again until we start getting the real games.
Yeah, that's 100%. I thought I watched camp really, really closely. I don't recall Keon Coleman taking a rep against an intern. But I get his point. Actually, that'd be kind of funny, right? Just going out there. It's terrible time Timmy trying to guard, I'm falling over.
He would look sensational against me.
Right. But that's the point, right? Who is he lining up against? Like, if it's all of a sudden he's lining up against corners that are battling for corner 4, guys that aren't making the team, I want to see him go up against Benford. I want to see that test. I want to see him go up against Harrison. But ultimately, even if he does well at Fisher, do not be tricked into the summer sunshine of St. John Fisher University. Like, that has to happen on the field. And then when we get to that point of August 15th, playing the Carolina Panthers, all right, how many targets is Keon Coleman? Who does he kind of go up against? You will hear me say this. I'm just planting my flag right now. Barring unforeseen circumstances, do not play Josh Allen this preseason. All right, you can do not play James Cook. I am of the mindset that whatever, in terms of chemistry and reps, I lean more Sean McVay than John Harbaugh on this. All right, but that being said, Keon Coleman needs to show something, and Coleman's interesting to me because dude started to turn a corner right at the end of the last season. You didn't need him to be receiver 1. You didn't need him to be receiver 2. You just needed him every so often make a play. And that was a very touchy game against Jacksonville. We can revisit it. Hell, the Bills are losing in the fourth quarter. And there's Keon Coleman coming up with a big play and getting separation, setting up a touchdown on the right sideline, if you remember that play. Hey, the Bills are down again here in the second half. They're in Denver. Time to rally this up. Hey, Coleman, good route over the middle. Let me worm my way into the end zone. Yes, it's exactly what you want out of a third-year receiver. Like, those are the things to build off of. So what happens next? You just have the owner take a big steamer on him, and you just put down your own product. Like, this is why we don't want to hear from Terry Pegula all the time. That didn't help matters to say that part out loud, right? Talking with Stevie Johnson and listening to his podcast. So if you listen to our show, we're friends with Michael F. Florio, and we'll have him back on the show. And Michael F. Florio, NFL Network, does the Sick podcast with Stevie Johnson. And they had an appearance out in Buffalo. I got the invite. It was really cool to talk to Stevie and listen to him do the pod with Mookie Hawkins and with Michael F. And both on the pod and off the air, or off the pod, just talking with those guys, hearing Stevie Johnson talk, that Stevie is saying he didn't have the support system he needed last year. That you heard DiBiase point this out, right? Okay, it's one thing that you're not getting open and the ball's not coming your way and the Bills, like, time moves on. But if you're not helping us win games and you're being disciplined by the team, we're moving on, okay? You're not an intern. You're a paid professional. And if you can't do the job, somebody else will step up and do the job for you. Be thankful you have a job at this point. But when you find yourself in that rut, and maybe the teammates, and this is what, the inference was, that I don't want to say he was persona non grata, but who did he have to lean on when things were going bad? Was his position coach really in his corner? I don't know. But those are questions that are fair to ask. And now stepping in as a mentor, not as a positional coach, so to speak, but it seems like this is something the Bills are fine with. Having one of the most underrated receivers in the NFL in the last 15 years. Stevie Johnson was fantastic. Stevie Johnson, somebody that, had you given him a real quarterback, and the Bills did not have one in the drought era, where would he ended up? Like, Stevie Johnson, when it came to getting open, exquisite. So the way Stevie wants to give back, can he be that mentor for Keon Coleman? I don't know Keon Coleman real well. I don't know what exactly happened leading to multiple disciplinary issues under Sean McDermott. But I'll tell you this, I think Joe Brady did the absolute right thing. That after all that happened, he came out and was, hey, no, he should be thankful because I'm his head coach and I believe in him. Paraphrasing what Brady said in his introductory press conference. Great. Now it's go time. Now it's time to go to work. And the good thing here is You don't need him to be a number one. You don't need him to be a number two. Like, number one on the team is DJ Moore. And that's a whole other topic. We could talk on, is DJ Moore really a number one? Is he, put it this way. Was DJ Moore ever the guy in fantasy you were like, oh my gosh, I want DJ Moore? Probably not. Maybe you had him on your team. But that might skew my vision, here for this season. I think he's better than anything we had on the outside last year, right? So it's an addition, but it's not like the kind of guy like a Jamar Chase or anything like that. Very few of those guys good on the Bills that they went out and at least recognized, okay, we need something else. I think Shakir is outstanding. If you listen to the show, you know me, I am a Shakir truther. Like, it's like going back to, and also too, after entering year 3, we could pull the tape. There are questions, would Khalil Shakir even make the team? Khalil Shakir has a different skill set. He can move the chains. He's a pro's pro. And if the Bills need a first down, you have the tight ends, you have Shakir. But now can Keon Coleman kind of add that physical presence and get open just a little bit more? And this is not a unique take, but I think it's worth repeating, right? If we look for the comp in Bills history, the comp is this. Bills need a different kind of element at wide receiver. This is the end of the Super Bowl era. In fact, the Super Bowls had already passed, but Jim Kelly's still here. And the Bills spend a first-round pick on Eric Moulds. And Eric Moulds' rookie season, 279 yards. Yuck. All right, you're a rookie, no big deal. Bills made the playoffs that year. Easy out, right? Year number 2, Bills don't make the playoffs. Kelly's gone. It's Todd Collins at quarterback. Eric Moulds, 294 yards. Now, trust me when I tell you this, that the noise back then, entering 1997, is just as loud as it is right now for Keon Coleman, saying, what the hell did we do spending the first-round pick on Eric Moulds? Now, one of the indicators was, and it's not apples to apples in this regard, Moulds shows up at SUNY Fredonia, and I was on the beat that time, and he is muscular. You can tell he put in the work. Now, that's a given for any NFL athlete, but back then it was like, whoa. And you could see right away that was an indicator. And also helping the cause there, too. And I'm going to say it's Doug Flutie because he took the majority of reps and he threw the majority of yards. But Moulds, having Doug Flutie as his quarterback, again, year 1, 279 yards. Year 2, 294 yards. Year 3 for Eric Moulds, 1,368. It's like, this is not going to happen, okay, with Keon Coleman. I'm really bringing you kind of the outlier, like, okay, you this is the promise. But with a lot of athletes, the expectation is rookie season, poof. All right, here we go. And you go back 1 year, we're thinking, oh my gosh, Cole Bishop, what do we do here spending that pick? Bishop, by the time we got to week 4 last year, the Saints interception, like, okay, we have something here. It takes time. It takes time. Not every athlete is going to burst onto the scene and say, here I am. And part of this, again, is Keon Coleman's undoing with, the habits and whatnot. But you give him every opportunity to show he can be that receiver on this team. 585-866-4326 is our number. At WGR Rochester is our handle. We've got our guy, Charlie Schumann, coming up here in just a little bit. Just a quick note here. We're doing, I feel like, we've gone from on our station, hey, there's too much LeBron talk, and now I feel like I'm the only one because I'm fascinated by this. I think LeBron James is giving a big old middle finger here to Adam Silver, for Adam Silver kind of calling him out, like, make a decision already. Like, what commissioner would say the word already in the contents of, hey, we're kind of annoyed that you haven't made a decision yet? Well, here we are, and we are now on day 21 and still waiting. But the funny thing is the Miami Heat today, people being detectives, they had a link on their website, LeBron James introductory press conference with the date of July 27th. Now, would it surprise me that somebody completely screwed up on this? No. My advice to any business, not just sports, business. Ready? Do not treat your social media team like they're interns. And I don't know the particulars about the Miami Heat. I'm saying in general that you should not be having those sort of errors. You should be paying professionals. So if that is an oopsie, fire that individual. That can't happen. But this is the part I don't believe. I don't believe LeBron James is going to make nice with Pat Riley. They say they're fine. They say everything's fine. You can say, well, LeBron James made nice with Cleveland. Okay, that's a little different in this regard. That here, the owner, Dan Gilbert, at the time, when he leaves Cleveland, LeBron, Dan Gilbert takes to social media and just blasts him. That was on emotion. That was clearly emotion. And for an NBA, not owner, NBA governor, that shouldn't happen, right? And emotions simmered down. Everything's fine. Well, why is it different in Miami? It wasn't based on emotion. It was based on Pat Riley sticking his nose in and saying, LeBron, taking away his cookies. That story that LeBron on the back end of a night on night, like, okay, LeBron's diet, maybe not the best, but hey, we've all been there, right? You're working an 18-hour day and you're just trying to get through to the next day. Are you making the best decisions when it comes to your nutrition? Probably not. You just want a little bit of energy to just tie me over to the next thing, right? And there's LeBron just, that's his fix, right? I'm going to wolf down these chocolate chip cookies. And Pat Riley takes them away. Like, okay, yeah, you're gonna treat me like a child? I swear, and I said this, I keep saying this, LeBron has a memory like an elephant. So, to me, if LeBron went back to Miami, that would be more surprising than LeBron James going back to Cleveland. 585-866-4326. We've got some hockey notes as well. Let's talk some college football coming up next. Injuries as well. Charlie Schumann, our injury expert from Lattimore PT, will be joining us. My name is Gene Battaglia. This is WGR Rochester.
Rochester Sports Update.
Rochester Red Wings scored 6 in the top of the ninth. They stole one last night in Buffalo, seeing two teams tonight down the thruway. Buffalo Bills report to Fisher in just 6 days. Bills reporter Sal Capaccio. Where does rookie wide receiver Skylar Bell fit in?
Really what happens with Skylar Bell is more predicated upon what happens with Keon Coleman and Joshua Palmer. Like, where are those guys? Because if one of those guys just does not live up to what they're supposed to this year, stay healthy, be on the field, Skylar Bell is the fourth receiver. But I think it's got to start with those guys first. And if not, he's the fifth receiver, and how much is he playing? So there's a big difference for that for me.
On the Major League scoreboard, it's game 1 of the day-night doubleheader in the Bronx. Bottom of the second, no score between the Pirates and Yankees. Red Sox looking to make it 15 in a row. Game 1 of their doubleheader against the Orioles coming up at 1:35. Gene Battaglia, the sports leader, WGR Rochester.
Straight up with no chaser. You're in the Sports Bar with Gene Battaglia on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950 WGR, Rochester.
You know, one thing I'm kind of proud of is that, over the years, we've been able to develop relationships here in the show and just bring you guests that bring it, that add something to the show. And, sometimes things come up with guests that they can't make it every so often. And one time, this is going back to March, where Kate Constable, and you hear her on BetMGM tonight filling in, said, hey, Kate, would you have time to preview the tournament? And she's like, I'd love to, but I got to let you know, something might come up and, I might not be able to. What's that? Oh, I'm due any day now. I'm like, okay, fair enough. And everything went well for Kate. Kind of, sort of in that same boat, joining us, former Penn State player from Lattimore PT, Charlie Schumann, who is not expecting, but this will be number 2. Charlie, thank you for your time today. Give us kind of the update. Everybody doing good at home today?
Yep. Everyone's stable at home right now. We're just in a wait and see pattern, but this will be number 2. We'll be about 14 months apart, so we're going quick with it.
Oh, jeez. Wow, that's going to be a busy household for you on these next few years. Well, Charlie, look, we're wishing you nothing the best, and certainly we'll have to talk. We'll have to get like a backup for you. You need an understudy here today. Charlie, appreciate the time. We'll keep it quick here today because I know you got a lot going on at home, but I thought of you instantly when I saw this. Because we go back to last football season, and there was Cam Scadaboo, and he plays the position differently, right, as compared to most, right? He's not afraid of contact. He's putting his head down, almost to a detriment. I'm like, dude, you want to last in this league, you got to learn, hey, get out of bounds, don't take that hit. He doesn't seem to care, and then his leg gets blown up, and you don't want to ever see that. So not knowing the particulars, though, of what that injury is, all right, then you see him this past weekend at Fanatics Fest doing a backflip. And that's where I thought of you, Charlie. Like, from a physical therapist standpoint, what is going through your mind what possibly could go wrong here when Cam Scadaboo doesn't nail that backflip?
Oh, man. I mean, you're absolutely right. First of all, he's such a fun player to watch. I mean, from his time at Arizona State, coming into the league with the Giants is – a relatively underrated guy, and he just plays the game so hard. It's so refreshing to see. He's always getting after it, and he's a tough dude. He's got a couple of screws loose, but play running back in the NFL, you got to have a couple of screws loose.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, but like that I guess what is like how long is that? I would think that backflips would be a big time no.
Yeah, so I guess I didn't see this, but when I was doing some research on it too myself, I guess he's been on film a couple months ago back in May doing a backflip already. Oh. So, so he ended up having a tib, I believe it was a tib fib or a tib fracture, ankle dislocation. So from a post-operative standpoint, they went in and repaired that, put a couple screws and plates in there, most likely. And from there, the healing time, a lot of that is you get 6 to 8 weeks, 8 to 10 maybe with the bone healing, and then a lot of it is rehab, re-strengthening the ankle to give it the strength that it needs to perform activities. So realistically anywhere between 6 to 8 months. But these guys that have so much time to dedicate to rehab, anywhere in that 4 to 7 months, like you'll be full go, full return. So he's probably done with his rehab in one aspect, but whether he made the excuse of the floor being too soft or what, it was a very precarious situation he got himself in because, your knees don't like to be in those positions where you're super loaded and end range like that. And you put yourself at risk for other injuries, but yeah.
If it's I'm curious to see how Harbaugh handles it, because the one thing I did see was the Harbaugh quote, hey, no more backflips. And then he goes on and does a backflip. That's it's not a good thing. Charlie Schumann, our guest, injury expert, Lattimore PT, where we're excited. By this point next week, we'll have practice 1 in the books for the Buffalo Bills. And by that point, Charlie, we'll have a different set of questions because, I can't say I'm sure, but quite often you have players that come back and they have soft tissue injuries. And what does this look like? What does that look like? A couple questions about the Bills that we do know. And I don't get the sense there's a lot of concern here with Josh Allen. We saw him at Joe Brady's press conference on crutches in the spring practices. Everything seemed to be fine. But that was surgery for Josh Allen. So to kind of review, what exactly was that injury for Josh Allen in his foot? And again, the disclaimer here being we don't know the particulars, but generally speaking, are we totally here in the clear with Josh Allen? Or we shouldn't fear a setback, or is that still a possibility?
Yeah, I'm super excited the Bills are coming back again. It's going to be another exciting time at Fisher to have him back in town, and it's always a good buzz when they're around. In terms of Josh Allen, from what I understand and what I've seen, it was a 5th metatarsal avulsion fracture. So some of a small fragment of the bone will pull off right at the outside of your foot. So it's not a full break. It's something that you can play through. But with that bone piece chipping off, it can get floating around in there, and your foot just isn't that meaty. So that's essentially where that loose piece of bone kind of floats around, and it gets annoying and aggravating. So they went in there and removed the loose piece. With that, again, the rehab's not all that complicated. It's just making sure that the strength, proprioception, and balance is back in that ankle. So from his riskiest standpoint, now we are in the clear.
Good.
But, it's never a clear picture, and he has to go out in reactive situations come that first game in practice that are going to be different than anything you can train in rehab or the off season. So you can prepare an athlete the best you can with as many drills you can throw at them reactively. But ultimately, the NFL is a contact sport. So from this injury standpoint and this surgery, I would expect him to be in full speed and looking great for the season. He's had a full off season.
Yeah, that's good, and that's good to kind of put that to rest. And it's also kind of different to think about, hey, there's a part of your foot you really don't need. Let's take that out, and everything will be just kind of fine. Or the spare parts, good. Charlie Schumann, our guest. A couple more for you here because the Bills lost a ton of man hours last year, right? Michael Hoyt had to serve that 6-game suspension, and he was going to be this kind of jack of all trades, move him around, chess piece sort of player. We didn't get to see that other than one full game. Then the Achilles injury. So the Achilles injury, and this happened back in November, I mean, generally speaking, how long is the rehab? With today's science, can you get that Achilles back to the same status prior to the injury?
Yeah, man, Michael Hoyt, he was fun to watch for the couple games that we had him. He was playing like crazy in that the Chiefs game when he went down too. From a standpoint of the Achilles injury, it's a really hard recovery. you're really looking at a 9 to 12 month window in an average rehab setting for a full return to sport following an Achilles rupture. You've seen Cam Akers. I think that's someone he mentioned in some of his press conferences who's been back in 5 months. I know Aaron Rodgers tortured us a couple of years ago with his Achilles injury, whether he was going to come back the same season or not. So everything changes when you have the resources that these guys have in the NFL, where your job is every day to rehab versus someone that, comes to an outpatient ortho clinic or is in high school and has other responsibilities. I could see him fully being back by week 1. That's his goal that he has. It's realistic to say that he's back week 1 to play. It'll be interesting to see in camp what he looks like on the field. The Achilles, a lot of what they need to do as a jack of all trades defensive lineman is, cutting the corner, getting around offensive tackles, cutting inside out. Some of those moves that the defensive linemen have pass rushing. We'll see how explosive he looks, and that's going to be a huge sign of whether he's ready to go come week 1 or he needs a few more weeks to go on the PUP list and take a couple weeks. Again, I think the Bills are in a situation this year where they have another good roster, and being healthy for them at the end of the season is going to be the most important thing. So if it means we put him on the PUP list for 4 weeks and played a little bit more conservatively, I think that that is also worth it to give him a few extra weeks to make sure he's back and ready to go for the playoffs. But I know money plays a role in all of it too. So
yeah, it might be a tool the Bills could use if they really are having a tough decision, and keeping a veteran like Hoyt fresh, because do you need him in September or do you need him in January? I'd argue the latter.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, we also got to get to January.
February is where I like to really end up.
Yeah.
Charlie Schumann, one last one for you here. And we touched last week on Aaron Judge, and as long as we have developments, I'm going to continue to get your thoughts on this because, the Yankees are keeping their head above water, but you need the guy back, right? And really the follow-up is, nothing definitive. That they took another image during the All-Star break, and it revealed some progress in the Bolton healing, but it's not completely healed, and we don't have a timetable on that. So, Charlie, I guess not knowing, step one is make sure the bone is healed. But my question for you is, once the bone is healed, again, generally speaking, how much ramp-up time would somebody like Aaron Judge need?
Yeah, it's hard. The Yankees are feeling extra pressure right now with the Sox going for 15 in a row today. But yeah, like you said, healing that bone is the biggest thing, because a refracturing that rib coming back early is going to be a much bigger story, and that will definitely end his season. So a few extra weeks of being cautious and allowing that bone to heal, it gives them the opportunity to have him again come September, October, if that's where they end up making it. Obviously, you're starting to feel that pressure if I'm the Yankees of, hey, we got to get things going the way the Sox are playing if we're going to get to the playoffs. So there's definitely a pressure there to get Judge back. From him, he's going to have to start swinging and hitting in New York, and throwing some or hitting some bullpen, some dry swings. Then he would go down for a rehab assignment to AAA, AA, wherever they want to start him, probably for a week or two. It just depends on how much and how comfortable he feels. A lot of it is going to be timing as he comes back, because he hasn't seen, guys throwing 100 miles an hour anymore. So coming back without getting that timing down is not going to help them make it to September or October either. So it's a lot of it will be tolerance from how he can handle going back-to-back days and playing, and they do have the DH for him, so they can take some load off of him playing in the field. But it really depends. It's one of those hard answers of, we have to see how his body responds once that fracture's healed. It could be 2 weeks. It could be 6 weeks. We've seen it in the past as a Mets fan. I've seen it with Jake DeGrom a while ago. They tried to ramp him up. He had a stress reaction to his scapula from throwing to start the season. They tried to ramp him up and ended up keeping him out until September. So it's hard. You have to find a really fine balance of when do you go back and push and when do you hold off to make sure that's healed so that you can actually get it back this season.
Oh man, you're making me recoil thinking about the Grom years. You breathed on the guy wrong, and he would have gotten hurt.
I know.
Charlie Schumann, Lattimore Physical Therapy. Tell everybody, hey, I got somebody listening right now. I've got a problem with with this, with that. Charlie, how can folks get a hold of you?
Yeah, if you go online to LattimorePT.com, we have an online forum. Our phone number's on there. I'm at the Greater Pittsford office, right in State Street in Pittsford, and we're always taking new patients, getting people in, and we love having a good time in all of our offices, and we look forward to helping as many people as we can.
Former Pittsford player under Keith Mullins. Isn't it crazy though that for Pittsburgh football, as great as the program has been, we need to make a run in the state for you guys at some point.
Hey man, we tried again last year, and we can't get past that sectional championship game, but I think it's coming soon. Coach Melendez is back as the JV coach in Pittsburgh this year, and Marriott's going to have a good program going. He's a great guy. So I'm excited to see what they do this year.
Yeah, for sure. I don't want to wish away time, but those one of the things we can look forward to, the Section 5 football season. Charlie, good luck this week, and we'll say tentatively next week here. We'd love to get your thoughts on opening day of training camp for the Bills.
Absolutely. We'll make it work. My college roommate was Connor McGovern, so I'm excited to get out there and see a practice this year after.
How did I not know this? How did I not know this? Oh, you're definitely going to have to be out there then, I would think. So.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, so have you been involved in his pizza parties then? You know all about that?
I was at the pizza party last year that was on Hard Knocks. He was nice enough to invite me out, so he makes a mean pizza and some. He had some cookies there last year that were pretty fantastic.
I can only imagine. Well, you guys are both A-plus guys there. So, Charlie, thank you again for the time today, and we'll pencil you in for next week.
Sounds like a plan, man. Have a great day.
All right, thanks. Charlie Schumann, who I did not realize was Connor McGovern's roommate. Yes, that would make sense. Came in the same time at Penn State. Schumann was on the offensive line. And Connor McGovern he's had a really great career. And that was one of those pleasant surprises. If you were driving around on a Saturday, and it's in March, and I look at my phone, I'm like, wait, the Bills signed Connor McGovern? How? It was one of those, hey, we have Cedric Van Pran Granger ready to step up. And, well, you know what? Van Pran Granger's, just come and you do your job. You will have a spot on this team. It just won't be as a starter. And keep working, and maybe you'll get an opportunity. And for Connor McGovern, yeah, he got some time in Dallas. It wasn't until, that's one overlooked signing the Buffalo Bills made that, hey, they should deserve credit for, bringing Connor McGovern to anchor this offensive line and re-upping him. 585-866-4326. You can give us a call. You can hit us up on X at WGR Rochester. We'll talk to PJ Glasser next hour. A little college football, too. Yeah. We'll talk a little SEC. Not just, all the hot air that's coming out of there. We're going to leave the NCAA. Okay, whatever. Tell us the plan when you get to it. I want to talk about this season. Who should we look out for in the SEC? Is the SEC actually slipping? Yes, they're not head and shoulders over everybody else, if you haven't noticed. But can they get back to that point? We'll talk to PJ coming up hour number 2. Well, Tim's terrible take coming up next. Gene Battaglia here, WGR Rochester.
Bar on Rochester Sports Talk. You're in the Sports Bar with Gene Battaglia on the Sports Leader. 95.7 FM and AM 950 WGR, Rochester.
Hey, I got a job opportunity. Anybody wants to work in sports? No, not here, silly. No. This job just got posted. And since it's out there for anybody to read, I thought I would just kind of share it with you. Section 5 is hiring an executive director of Section 5 athletics. What you'll need to do: administer a positive interscholastic athletic program, advise the executive board on the athletic council on policy and implementation, represent Section 5 with the New York State High School Athletic Association, oversee scheduling, officiating, budget, and championship operations. You need to have a district leader certification. Oh, and you need to have a teaching certification. So sorry, Tim, you're out.
I am disqualified.
You're disqualified. All right. So as I just described this, how much do you think this pays?
$42,000.
Okay. Joining us today, I don't. What is your title? Not intern. It's promotional wizard Francesco. How much do you say? 53. 42-53. If Dan DeLorean were here, but he's hiding in the other room. Let's just say you're both low on this.
That's good then. I would have expected it to be low, and it should be high.
The salary here is $135,000 to $160,000.
Gene, I quit. I'm going to get my teaching certification, and I got to go.
That's why, like, some people are like, you don't need education. Like, yeah, you do. Yes, you need to get certified. You need a diploma. You need all those things. Yeah, you can do it the other way. It's just a little bit harder.
I would have thought it would be a low-paying job that deserves more. That is actually probably an accurate number for what it deserves.
Right.
Managing a bunch of sports across the section?
Yes, and it's non-stop. But you probably get a little break around this time of year, July, but even right now, you're probably back at it.
Yeah, you just wrapped up states, and now you got to prepare for football.
Yeah, and it's not just football, Tim. It's all the other sports that are involved and having to go out to Albany and do all those things. So, yeah, it's good that you want somebody that can navigate and handle things and has some experience. Well, then you need a salary that's commensurate with that. I like you, I would have thought, okay, that sounds like a job maybe like $80,000, $90,000. When I say 130 to 160, I'm like, whoa, okay. The Red Sox, son of a gun.
Looking at 15.
Caleb Durbin, 2-run single in the bottom of the first. So the Sox still in the first, I think. Yes, now 2 outs. Wait, there's an update. As soon as they say that, Durbin with the 2-run single, and they get Duran with 2 RBI. So now it's 4-0 over the Orioles. So Boston looking to make it 15 in a row. That's impressive. Pirates and Yankees, no score. They're in the top of the 4th. 585-866-4326 is our phone number. Time now for Tim's Spotlight.
It's now time for Terrible Time Timmy's Terrible Take of the Day on WGR Rochester. WGR Rochester. It's Terrible Time Timmy.
Gino, I know that you mentioned earlier that the SEC is talking about potentially seceding, and let me tell you that when you mentioned the March Madness changing and you not liking that, brother, it's already gone. Let me read you.
What? No, I want to hold out hope.
Let me read you some names here. I want you to tell me what you think this is.
Okay.
Penn State, but ignore it because it's an exhibition. Point Park, Youngstown State, Canisius, Cornell, Lafayette, don't even know which one, Buffalo, Florida Atlantic, Siena, Albany, Mercyhurst, and the main event, Roberts Wesleyan.
I know exactly what you're talking about. You're kidding me. Bonaventure scheduled Roberts Wesleyan?
In a real game.
What?
In the middle of December, the end of December, December 28th.
We read that again. That's the non-conference schedule for Bonaventure?
Yes. Youngstown State, Canisius, Cornell,
Boring. Go
Lafayette,
on. Lafayette, boring.
Buffalo.
Yeah.
There's a multi-team event in there, but the teams aren't announced, so I skipped it. Florida Atlantic, Siena, Albany, Mercyhurst, Roberts Wesleyan.
You cowards.
And that's with Woj at the helm.
You cowards. Okay, what you are done there, Tim, is there is zero chance that even if Bonaventure say they win all those games, and then you're going to go to the Atlantic 10 tournament and, I'm sorry, we're out in the semifinal. That's not going to get you into the tournament.
It's a disqualifying resume in July right now. And for comparison's sake, I do have Syracuse's up here, and it's not all that better. The only marquee opponent right now, and again, they don't have to worry about it because they're going to get their quad one games in conference, but Oklahoma is the only relevant opponent so far.
Let me just be devil's advocate. Is your fan base satiated by wins, not recognizing the competition? Tim, you are not that way. I'm talking about your fan base. Like, hey, we beat Mercyhurst. Ooh, Roberts Wesleyan. Yeah, that team. What are they called there? They're not called the Raiders anymore. I don't know what they're called.
I don't know. Hawks, Eagles. The logo looks like a red bird of some sort.
I assume that's not the Roberts Wesleyan gym. It's a poor high school gym. I assume that's not in Chile, right?
No, it is in Olean, which is just a rich high school gym, I guess.
It took me a half second to figure out, all right, what do these schools have in common? And then, oh my God.
This was announced yesterday during the show, and it put me into a rage and it's not even St. Bonaventure's fault. Nobody will play these lower teams because that's a grenade for these programs. If Syracuse will never play St. Bonaventure again because they don't have to. The SEC will never, ever play
all right, that
anymore.
That's a fair
I went to a Mississippi State game. That was awesome.
That's a fair point. And you have to have the money to go to one. You have to book those tournaments. That's ultimately what this comes down to. Can you play teams from other parts of the country? That's where I'm calling. I'm saying this is a little bit of BS. That's not entirely true. If you're scheduling teams within a driving distance, Mercyhurst, Youngstown State, Albany, Siena, home against Roberts. Tim, I'm sorry. That's partially true. That's also partially, and again, I feel like I'm the lone person saying this, and you'll get upset at me, but I think Adrian Wojnarowski is a fraud. He is somebody that went to Bonaventure, had connections in the NBA, and that does not qualify him to build a basketball program. He doesn't know how to raise revenue. He's not a salesman. When he came out last year and his genius idea was, hey, these are cell phones I've used before and you can buy it from me. Really? That's the idea to raise revenue, eh? No, like you need somebody to go out there and know how to glad hand, like get with your development department at Bonaventure. He's done the poor job. That's your non-conference schedule.
That is the non-conference schedule in full outside of one extra game to be announced. And
you are not going to be ready for the Fordham Rams. The Fordham Rams are going to clock you twice. Last year when Fordham beat Bonaventure, I'd be like, ha, ha, ha. I don't care. Honestly, I don't care about my alma mater's athletics because we've been so bad so long. You, on the other hand,
I think I'm getting to that
You
point.
should be, yeah. Your life would be easier not to care.
I used to go down once or twice a year to a game just to go back and enjoy the atmosphere and maybe a quality opponent. There are none on this schedule. It has to be an A10 game, and I'm busy.
Yeah, you can't tell me to. Like Syracuse scheduled Colgate.
They always do.
They didn't last year.
They kept losing to them.
Yeah, right. So but there's opportunity to go beat somebody to beat you up. Now, I might have this wrong, but it's my understanding that you're allowed to schedule one team down, and I can't even say if. When Bonaventure beats Roberts Wesleyan, that would be a quad 3 win.
Quad 4.
Oh, that would be quad 4. I thought that would be quad 3.
It should not count at all.
No, it shouldn't count at all.
And it's the last game before the conference schedule. So I don't know what to say other than college athletics has been destroyed by the SEC and whatnot, and this is the result of it for schools like St. Bonaventure.
Are we 100% sure that the Roberts Bonaventure game is an Olean. That this is.
I am 100% sure. The only road
Oh.
games that I mentioned in that are Canisius and Siena.
Okay, so then that'd be another question I have for your AD. Why did you leave us? You were making money here in Rochester. I went to some of those games. I went to a lot of those games. Saturday afternoon, 6,500. Do the math. You're covering the rent and then some. It's great publicity for your school and for an opposing team. I would think that the greater Rochester International Airport's a little easier to get in and out of than, say, flying into Buffalo and busting down to Olean.
I would have to agree with you 100% in that regard.
Yeah,
and
look,
they played good teams back
They
here.
did.
and Fordham.
They played. F you.
Exactly. That is what they got.
That's what he got. Exactly. Fordham. Yeah, that's what. Yeah, Virginia Tech came here. St. Joe's came here. George, who else came here? St. John's came here.
Virginia Tech.
Yep.
Syracuse.
Oh, that's going way back.
It is, but
That's
still,
going way
that's
back,
St.
yeah.
Bonaventure in the building, in the
Yeah.
area. And
Yeah, it was
that's
04,
a
yeah.
recruiting tool. And that was right after Syracuse won the national title. So that exposed both schools. And here we are now gearing up for Cornell and
I'm surprised this
Mercyhurst.
It's like you're opening up the present on Christmas Day and you realized, oh my gosh, I got a pair of pants and socks. Like, this is our non-conference schedule.
And they don't fit.
Youngstown State. Siena without Jerry McNamara.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that part of it. Yeah.
Tim, I'm sorry. Like, my sides are hurting. Like, I don't mean to take joy in your program putting that out there today, but well, at least you got Brown season to look forward to.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
Awesome.
We will have BJ Glasser coming up. We won't ask him about the Bonaventure non-conference schedule, but we'll talk a little SEC football about some of his best plays in baseball as well. We'll take your calls at 585-866-4326. Gene Battaglia here on WGR Rochester.
BEE HD2 Rochester and everywhere you go at WGR Rochester. The sports leader. 95.7 FM and AM 950 WGR Rochester. An Odyssey sports station. WGR Rochester. Sports Update.
On the Major League scoreboard, it's game one of a doubleheader at Fenway, and so far so good for the Boston Red Sox, looking to make it 15 in a row. They're up 4-0 in the second on Baltimore. Down in the Bronx, also a day-night doubleheader for the Yankees. Yankees and Pirates, no score. They're in the fifth. Rochester Red Wings scored 6 in the ninth to come away with a win over Buffalo. Same two teams tonight down the Thruway. Buffalo Bills report to Fisher in just 6 days. Sal Capaccio on rookie Caleb Elam's oar.
Squarely, the first guy is Caleb Elarmzor. I think he's a really interesting guy, but a lot of it came from Dorian Williams' injury and him getting opportunity in OTAs and minicamp. I'm very interested to see if Dorian Williams is ready for camp. And if he's not, Caleb Elarmzor, that door is wide open for him to step right in and get those number one reps.
Gene Battaglia, the sports leader, WGR Rochester.
Stay for a while, you're in the sports bar on WGR. Grab a drink, hang your coat, get sports talk. Live from Western New York. It's a master show. 9 times better than your typical host. 9 times. Gene and Tim have takes much harder than most. No one cares when you're out. Sabres! Bills! Americans! Red Wings and Nighthawks! Sports bar! For Rochester Sports Talk.
Hour number 2, you found us. Thanks for joining us, making us part of your day. Gene Battaglia with you, the sports bar on 1 to 3 locally. If that doesn't fit your schedule, you can just download the Odyssey app, listen back to it. You can listen back to any of our interviews, including former Penn State player Charlie Schumann talking about some of these injuries. And little did I know, he was actually college roommates with Connor McGovern, went to the pizza party. So we got a little inside of the pizza party where they also made cookies, which I begged the follow-up question, but I was afraid to answer. I didn't want to know what kind of cookies did we have there. 585-866-4326. PJ Glasser will be joining us here next segment, where we will talk some college football. We'll talk some baseball. We'll keep you updated on the certainly the Red Sox, as we mentioned in the update, looking to make it 15 in a row. And you also have the Yankees scoreless with the Pirates. Mets and Brewers, for those who still care about the Mets, 2:10 coming up, and a lot of other getaway day games starting in the 3 o'clock hour as well. Dodgers and Phillies, which kind of, I think, no offense to Milwaukee, I think that kind of looks like the NLCS. We could debate that, but that is also tonight, highlighting your baseball schedule. You know, when I was in school, like a lot, I wanted to do this, but I had another opportunity, and sometimes I wonder, like, had I made a different choice, would things have gone a different way? And when I was in school, I had the opportunity to volunteer with a program that was just starting up at the time. It was called RBI, Reviving Baseball in the Inner Cities. And since that point, Major League Baseball has taken this over, and this was basically a program where, hey, for kids, and this particular program was on 125th in Harlem. We'll go down and just kids playing baseball. Here's the equipment. Here's what you need. And kids want to play sports. And I had an opportunity, and ultimately I decided, I like this radio thing a lot, but I also really loved helping those kids. I'm bringing this up today because there's a story out there, and again, you come to the sports bar and you want to talk sports, right? But I feel for any parent right now that has a kid in youth hockey. And I'm bringing up the RBI experience because hockey has something similar. If you weren't familiar, it's Learn to Play. And it's a program that the NHLPA, the NHL, they have together. And Learn to Play is for 4 to 9-year-olds, and they have every NHL market has local rinks where you can come out and learn to play if you're a kid. And those rinks are in Rochester. They do this in Webster. At least they did last year. They also did it at Lakeshore. I'm bringing this up because I don't think that's quite like RBI. I don't think we're reaching in. and this is another slogan of hockey. Hockey is for everyone. No, it's not. It's not. You need the finances to play hockey. Ice time is expensive. Equipment is expensive. Equipment today just got a lot more expensive. And again, you come to the sports bar. I don't want to talk politics, but if you're a hockey parent, you no doubt saw this, or if you haven't heard this yet, President Trump announcing a 50% tariff on all Canadian hockey equipment. Now, a quick check. Bauer, they're based in Canada. CCM, they're based in Canada. I'm not up on who is the leading manufacturer here in the United States, but that's kind of a problem. That's a pretty big tariff. Now, this is due to take effect August 19th, and maybe by the time we get to August 18th, you know how these things kind of roll. Maybe the thing will be dropped or whatever it is. But I'm like, why are we doing this? Like, why? Like, parents already pay enough. Why do we have to pay this tariff? And I swear to you, and my son will be playing, and then all of a sudden, I broke my stick. Oh, great. Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah,
Simmons Hockey, Buffalo, New York.
Simmons Hockey.
Hockey or goalie equipment.
Okay. So goalie equipment. Tim, is there a company that's going to all of a sudden explode off this that we're going to?
None that I'm familiar.
Yeah,
so maybe.
Maybe.
I've heard of Simmons, though.
I've heard of Simmons. And so, if somebody knows, you can just write into us at WGR. I just think that because we are the show here in Rochester that talks hockey, just passing that on. Because, as a former hockey parent, I'm like, wow, it is expensive. And you could say, well, it's a sport for the privileged. Well, okay, sure. I myself work 3 jobs. So me busting my ass, does that make it privilege? If I'm working 3 jobs, I can spend my money however I damn well please. That's the way I look at it. If I want to spend it on my kids' youth hockey team, that does not make me privileged. But the point is, there is something to be said for if you want to grow the sport. How are you doing it in those areas? And for baseball, they don't do a lot of things right. I think they do it right with RBI. I think they recognize that, okay, we need to make sure this is accessible to kids. Where is this in the city of Rochester? I'm not talking about Webster Ice Arena or Lakeshore. Again, I might be taking this in a different direction, but I'm just pointing this out that the NHL needs to do a better job of this in light of today's news that if you're a hockey parent, congratulations, you're going to be paying a lot more. 585-866-4326. As, crazy to think that 1 week from today, we will have our first practice for the Buffalo Bills in the books. Just to kind of review, practices this year, well, number one, camp is shorter altogether. They're only going to be here a week and a half. That's it. Number two, a little bit of a different schedule. Practices didn't get going last year until, usually around the 9 o'clock hour. This year, 8:30. 8:30 in the morning, get on out there. And I kind of like that, kind of dig that. Like, you're not sleeping in a training camp. Like, a lot of us do our best work in the morning. You just get up, get going, and then you got the rest of the day to do whatever, to recover, to watch film. And the other thing people don't realize about training camp is, no, there aren't 2-a-days, but there is a second session that is closed to the public, and it's a walkthrough. And what I consider the walkthrough, it's just like, here are your dance moves. That's it. Like, you're literally walking the steps for each individual play. So you're not sweating, but it's one of those, okay, you're in the classroom, and here is X play, here is this play, and we're going to walk this through. So what is the Nick Sirianni thing? Perfect preparation equals perfect performance, or whatever the alliteration he did. We call him Section 5 Sirianni. It's kind of along the same way, right? Less thinking, athlete takeover, talent takeover. Well, So, by the time you get to the first regular season game, you're not thinking about, when the play comes in, you know exactly what the route is. And for that matter, everybody else's responsibility if you're really good at this. 585-866-4326. The time of year where we get uniform updates. I haven't seen a uniform update today. Today is not over yet. Oh, but we have this out of Kansas City. We have beautiful artist renderings of the new $3 billion dome that is being built in Kansas for the Kansas City Chiefs. And we'll just say this. This artist rendering of this dome with the translucent ceiling kind of looks like what you see in Jacksonville and in Washington and in Cleveland, and whatever it is they hope to do in Chicago, which they haven't nailed down yet. Yes, when the weather turns cold, it's nice to go indoors, but are we going to look back in 25 years from now and say, what the hell did we do that for? Because the majority of stadiums in the NFL are going to be indoors before you know it. And I've heard the contrarian take, we should have built a dome in Buffalo, and I would just say no. This is what makes us unique. If we're just being practical and honest about this, you, the fan, do you want to go more into debt for building a dome? Because you would have paid for a lot more of your PSLs, and you did pay a lot for it. I think that's what's one thing we're going to look back and say, this stadium in Buffalo, it's a little smaller. It's a little more compact. This is unique. I kind of dig it. And it's crazy to think that 60,000 is small. But the footprint compared to this, compared to whatever this gigantic monstrosity they're going to build in Kansas City, and I continue to stay by this. Like, in Buffalo, you needed to do something. Literally, there was an engineering study that was done that showed that the upper deck was not going to last into the next decade. So are you building a new upper deck? Are you pouring more money into this? It's like when the car you're driving is at the end of its life and, hopefully you're driving something nice now, but you make that decision. Oh, do I want to put more repairs into this? Or am I getting something new? What am I doing here? That's where we were at with the Bill Stadium. And plus the league was just putting all sorts of immense pressure on ball. Hey, you can't get this together. We gotta talk. And credit to everybody for getting it together. And hopefully everybody, if they have the chance, you can go and enjoy that new stadium. That open practice on August 18th, those tickets went lickety-split yesterday. Like, nope. They were gone in the blink of an eye. The red and the blue scrimmage, well, you got to know a PSL owner to get into that. Ticket prices, let's do a check on that, Tim. Ticket prices, August 15th, Bills in Carolina. Preseason games on a secondary market should be nothing more than $5, right? Like, honestly, they should be free. You should know somebody that says, hey, these are free, except when you're opening a new stadium.
$120.
Oh, my God.
I was invited to the preseason finale against Pittsburgh, and I saw the price, and I said, maybe I'll just take the bus trip up with you guys and hang out in the parking lot, because $94 to go to a preseason game where nobody's going to be playing.
No one. But you get to walk around, you get to, it's like the new car smell, new building smell, everything. Like, oh, yeah, this is kind of cool. You feel like you're in the Insiders Club. Again, if you're upset by that, you know what's going to happen? The novelty will wear off. We'll get to this point next year, and I know those tickets aren't going to be, more than, they'll be under $100 by that point, I would hope.
You can go to the away game, preseason game against Cleveland for $9. So take your pick.
There we go. Yes.
4 hours to Cleveland.
So I get okay, that's a good tab for your meal and bar right there, like $100-some bucks. Yeah, that sounds like the better of the two plans.
I think I'm taking the road trip. Yeah,
I think so too. What day of the week is Cleveland, Tim?
Saturday, August 22nd.
You thinking what I'm thinking?
I'm thinking it in real time, and I'm looking, and.
Sports bar in the Cleveland, yeah. Woo!
They are unfortunately in Colorado that day.
Oh, well, Guardian's still farting around there.
First place farting around.
Yeah, it's true.
Respect.
Is give you a baseball update here. As the Red Sox leading 4-1, so the Orioles getting one. They're in the top of the third. Pirates leading the Yankees 2-0. They're in the fifth there, as that's Keller against Cole. Who is Gonzalez? Nick Gonzalez.
Middle infielder.
Yep, batting 310. He had the 2-run homer for the Pirates. We'll talk to PJ Glasser. PJ Glasser, our betting expert. We'll have last call coming up as well. My name is Gene Battaglia. This is WGR Rochester.
Rochester Sports Update.
Red Wings continue their series in Buffalo tonight. They took one last night by scoring 6 in the top of the ninth. Red Sox looking to make it 15 in a row. Game one of a doubleheader. They're leading the Orioles 4-1. They're in the bottom of the third. Also, game one of a doubleheader down in the Bronx. They go to the 6th with the Pirates leading the Yankees by a 2-0 score. On this getaway Wednesday, Mets and Brewers heading to the second. No score in the second between the Giants and the Royals. And Colorado Rockies hosting Washington coming up at 3:10. Bills report in 6 days. Sal Capaccio on where does rookie Skyler Bell fit?
Really what happens with Skyler Bell is more predicated upon what happens with Keon Coleman and Joshua Palmer. Like, where are those guys? Because if one of those guys just does not live up to what they're supposed to this year, stay healthy, be on the field, Skyler Bell is the fourth receiver. But I think it's got to start with those guys first. And if not, he's the fifth receiver, and how much is he playing?
Raising the bar on Rochester Sports Talk. You're in the Sports Bar with Gene Battaglia on the Sports Leader. 95.7 FM and AM 950 WGR. Rochester.
That's like, for an update guy, that's like the ground ball going right between the legs there. I just should know the clock, right? I mean, I was like, uh-oh, I went to the cut too late. I'm singling Tim like, cut.
That might be on me.
That's an error.
Pickup attempt.
Bad pickup attempt. Yeah, so we admit the error, we move on. PJ Glasser joining us here, our good friend, who, PJ, when we look back at the World Cup, I mean, could that have gone any better? PJ Glasser, betting expert. PJ, how are you this afternoon?
Gene, I'm doing good, sir. I don't know about you, but I could listen to clips from Sal Capaccio all day. That was fantastic. The World Cup was also fantastic. The final was a little bit of a snooze fest. I don't know how many of us saw Argentina not having a shot, essentially, the entire regulation. But Spain was the best team. They were the pre-tournament favorite. They proved it in that France match. They proved it against Argentina. But we got some epic games, and the best team won. So you really can't ask for much more.
Yeah, 4 years from now we'll be in. But for now, we have football to look forward to. And I want to talk college football with you today, PJ. But before we get to that, baseball today, a little different because, well, we had some games we're making up here. As we mentioned in the update, Red Sox, they're ahead in Game 1. The Yankees trailing in Game 1. Still a lot of action coming up on this Wednesday. From a betting standpoint, anything stick out to you on the schedule here today?
Yeah, I did like the Red Sox in this day game because Dean Kramer was going for the Orioles. So that felt like 15 in a row for Boston. They're a machine right now. I like the Nats coming up in a little bit, Gene, against the Rockies. That one gets going at 3:10 Eastern time. Cade Cavalli's on the mound for the Nats today. He's been very good for them. They've gotten bet up, too. They were at like minus 135. Now they're up to minus 150. They lost last night to Colorado 8-7. I think that was the game that the Rockies got, that they were going to get in this series. I think the Nats bounced back today. So if you don't want to lay the minus 150, I think them in a money line parlay piece could be a good one. This Phillies-Dodgers series has been great. I mean, we got those home runs on Monday. Yesterday, more of a pitcher's duel. You get the base-running blunder in the ninth inning for the Phillies. Aaron Nola on the mound today, kind of somebody I want to fade. So I think Dodgers might be the play today in Philly minus 120.
PJ Glass, our guest here in the Sports Bar. Before we get to the good football stuff here, PJ, well, to me, somebody say the golf season's over, right? No more majors. Well, that's not entirely true, and there's certainly some things from an action standpoint. 3M Open this week in Minnesota. Always kind of a downer when you're coming off a win, a majors event here. But we're back here stateside. What do we know about this tournament? Anyone you like here, PJ?
Yeah, 3M Open, Gene. The biggest thing this week is it's really all about who can stay out of the water. This is since they've started playing this 3M Open outside of Minneapolis, it's been the event on tour that has yielded the most like balls in the water, you know? So it's really about accuracy this week. Guys that are great off the tee and can keep their ball dry are usually the guys that have success here. I mean, Scotty's teeing it up this week, which is just stunning, right? He's like plus 275. The next closest guy is 25-1. Scotty probably ends up winning it. But if you were looking for somebody else, maybe somebody to not bet in the, without Scotty market, I think Emiliano Grillo could be a good option this week at 60-1. Very accurate off the tee. He's played well here in the past, so a light card for me, Gene, but we'll go with Grillo at 60-1.
PJ Glasser, our guest here in the sports bar. Now, to let everybody know, PJ is a proud graduate of Alabama. PJ, what did you make of the comments, the smoke signals coming out from the SEC this week that the discussion that they would be considering breaking away from the NCAA? Hot air, or is this ultimately where this is going to head?
I think it's hot air. I definitely don't think it's total BS, and I think maybe there's a little cause for concern just because in the day and age that we're in with college sports, I mean, as we know, it's changing, right? There have been a lot of things that have happened in the last 4 or 5 years. Gene, I can't say I ever thought I saw Stanford and Cal play Wake Forest in conference games, right? So nothing is definitely... Anything can happen, I should say, in this day and age in college football. This has been talked about really the last 4 or 5 years every time we get to SEC Media Days because they're the SEC, because they think so highly of themselves, because they feel like they're the best, especially when it comes to football. They're always going to feel like this, and I think because of the recent success in the Big Ten and the fact that the last 3 title winners have come from the Big Ten, the SEC feels the need to puff out their chest a little bit more. So I would say maybe like a 5% chance that this happened. I don't think it's a good one. I think it's just all kind of talk at this point, but I won't put it at a 0 just because, you know, college athletics these days, you never know what could happen.
The 2022 season, that was the last time we had a team from the SEC make it to the national championship game. Now, the PJ, some may say, hey, it's just because these guys are beating up on each other and it's the competition. I would say, no, maybe the world has caught up here where, all right, it's now you're looking at perhaps year number 4. PJ, is there any cause for concern that the SEC really isn't the top conference in football anymore?
So it's this debate, Gene, right? Like, how would you define the best conferences in football? Is it the conferences that have the most top-heavy teams, that have the teams that are going to compete for the national championship? Because if that's the case, I think it's the Big Ten, right? Ohio State, Oregon, Indiana. I mean, you could make an argument all 3 of those teams are maybe better than any of the teams the SEC has to offer. I think the depth, though, of the SEC, like the 7th or 8th best team in the SEC, you could argue is maybe like A&M, Oklahoma, you know, like I would take those teams over the 7th or 8th best team in the Big Ten that's like a USC or a Penn State, someone of that ilk. So I still think the depth of the SEC is the best in college football, but definitely the top-heavy part of the sport has gotten to the Big Ten, and we've seen reflection of that with the national title winners the last few years. But yeah, you know, I think the reason why they haven't won a title is because definitely NIL and all this stuff, you know, and other leagues and other schools have money and they're catching up with them. I do think the grind of the schedule has a lot to do with it. But also, Gene, like these teams that have had these bye weeks have been really struggling, right? Georgia has not been able to figure out when you get a top 4 seed how to win that initial quarterfinal game when they get a bye. So it's a little bit of everything. I still think they're the best conference because of the depth. But, I mean, for sure, the Big Ten, they are more top-heavy than the SEC are.
Yeah, and for the SEC, before I ask you the question, who do you like this year? Let's just kind of revisit one thing. I mean, LSU went from a very unlikable guy in Brian Kelly to someone who's even more unlikable. My gosh, somebody I thought had it together, but Lane Kiffin, once again, reminding he's the biggest jerk, my opinion. How does that play in LSU here? How quickly can the Tigers get back to where they once were, PJ, or are you just saying good luck with that?
Gene, if Lane Kiffin wins games at LSU, they'll look at him like he's Mother Teresa. That's really all it cares about, you know? So that's what he's brought in there to do. That's what they're paying him all that money to do. He's the portal king for a reason, and he did that again this offseason. He brought in Arizona State's quarterback, Sam Leavitt. The defensive line is going to be great. Running backs, wide receivers. The biggest thing really for LSU is the schedule, Gene. Brutal. One of the toughest in the country. They have Clemson this year, A&M, Bama, Texas, Ole Miss, Tennessee, Auburn. So they got like 7 or 8 really, really good teams. He does bring his offensive coordinator over from Ole Miss, Charlie Weiss Jr., with him. So we'll see, man. We see it all the time in college football. These guys have great success in these spots, and then they go step up and they struggle. Year one, I don't think LSU's going to the playoff, but I think Kiffin will get them back to where they want to get to.
Yeah,
at some point.
it was just it feels like yesterday in regard to the season opener, Texas opening against Ohio State, and Texas by many considered to be the favorite, but again, PJ, when you're looking at this from just an odds standpoint, if we want to do a little future wager sort of action, who are you liking? Who are you trusting? Who are you looking out for in the SEC this season?
For me, it's Georgia, Gene. I mean, they've won 5 of the last SEC championship games. They've made it to 6 of the last 7. This is maybe recently one of Kirby's most homegrown teams, right? So obviously in this day and age, especially these top teams, when they spend all this money, they go out, get the best quarterback, get the best linebacker. This Georgia team, it's really, these guys have been in Kirby's program for multiple years. So it's kind of rare that we've gotten this in the last few years. I like their quarterback a lot, Gunnar Stockton, and Georgia's had one of the toughest schedules in the conference the last few years. Very manageable this season, which I think could help them. So Georgia's checking a lot of boxes for me, Gene. Like the QB, obviously Kirby's still one of the best, if not the best coach. Schedule favorable. The defense will always be good. So Georgia will be my pick to win the SEC.
When we last saw Alabama, they were getting picked apart like a chicken, right? Like, my goodness, never thought that Alabama in a playoff game would look as bad as, that's just Indiana and where the Indiana program was. But got to shake that off. You're an Alabama grad. What is the outlook for the Crimson Tide this fall, PJ?
Gene, it really comes down to 2 positions. The first one's the offensive line. They lose 6 linemen from last year, but the guys that they bring in, they feel good about. But again, when you lose that many guys, it's always a question mark. And then the quarterback position. In college football this year, Gene, the quarterback play, not only is it really good, but it's a lot of returning guys, right? So you think about all the top teams, Ohio State, Julian Sayin, he is a sophomore. Arch Manning's back for Texas. C.J. Carr, Notre Dame. Josh Hoover was at TCU, was in Indiana. Dante Moore. You go down the list, really the only kind of top team that doesn't have a proven quarterback is Bama. They have a redshirt freshman in Keelan Russell, who I'm hearing really good things about. He's drawing comps to Bryce Young. And then the other guy they have is Austin Mack, who came into the game for Ty Simpson when he got hurt in the Rose Bowl against Indiana. But again, he really hasn't played much and he's unproven. The defense is going to be one of the best in the country with maybe the best secondary. Their wide receivers are great. Running backs are great. It's really Gene, O-line and quarterback. So I think Bama's an interesting team because all these other teams around them have proven QBs and we've seen them play at least a year of college football. We kind of know what we're getting. With Bama, we don't know what we're going to get. And that could either be a great thing or that could either be a really bad thing. And their schedule, like Georgia, is a little bit easier on paper than it's been here the last few years. So I kind of do think they're going to get into the playoff at 10-2. And, again, if you want to bet on the upside, because I do think it's going to be Keelan Russell, if you want to bet on their upside for them to, win the SEC, win the national championship, I don't think it's a terrible play because that defense is good enough to win a title this year. It's just a question about how the QB position is going to be and how that O-line is going to hold up.
So some of my family, my friends kind of make fun of my brother Kevin. I call it a Kevin bet when he goes out to Vegas. And he will just hey, this is 10,000 to 1. I'm like, why did you put $20 down on that? That's foolish. You just wasted $20. So this might be a Kevin bet, so to speak here, or maybe not. All right. And again, I'm Mr. Square here, but if I'm looking at all these teams in the SEC and assuming there's some level of talent on all of them, if I'm just looking at the quarterback position, what about a quarterback post-hype? Meaning this time last year, everybody was into this guy, and then it didn't quite work. Well, he's back. Lenora Sellers, South Carolina. I'm looking at plus 5,500 on that. Is there anything to be said for the Gamecocks? Well, they were in a bowl game 2 years ago, but last year fell apart. Is this a Kevin bet, or is this anything that you would consider, PJ?
I wouldn't consider it, Gene, but I don't hate the logic because, again, in college football, if you have a great quarterback, you always got a chance. I mean, we've seen that with Cam Newton in Auburn. We saw that with Joe Burrow and LSU. I mean, all these teams, right, that have just unbelievable quarterbacks that have great years and lead their teams to great seasons. Sellers has shown flashes of that. They lose a good amount on defense, and their schedule is really tough, Gene. So that's the only thing that would shy me away on South Carolina. I think if you're going to take a flyer on some team, like in the national championship market, it would be somebody out of the Big 12 probably, because you're getting great prices on really all those teams outside of Texas Tech. And obviously somebody's got to make it out of the playoff out of Texas Tech or out of the Big 12. So I think BYU could potentially be a look. I think Houston's a very interesting team. Those would probably be, if you were looking at a crazy long shot, would be like BYU at 80-1 or Houston at like 250-1 if you really wanted to get nuts. But college football tends to be a chalky sport. And because now of the extended playoff and you got to win 4 games for most of these teams, it's kind of too tough to have one of those magical TCU runs that we saw 4 years ago. So I would probably stay away from any crazy long shots in the national title market.
You see, this is why we listen to PJ Glasser. We take his advice. And PJ, next week, the Big Ten. But what's going to be different about this, buddy? We're not doing this on the phone. Is the plan still intact for you to come to the Flower City next week, PJ?
It is, Gene. I will see you next week in studio on Friday. So obviously I'm normally with you on Wednesdays, but I'll be in there on Friday. So you let me know what time you want me in there, and we'll make it work.
Dude, we are on the air 1 to 3. You can hang out the whole time. We can just kind of shoot the breeze. I know you're coming to town, helping your brother, your mom, your dad, if I recall correctly. He's flying in. You're driving up. Did I have that right, or is that vice versa?
So me and my mom are flying up, and we're helping him out, and then Dad is driving up the weekend to help us get another car to help bring stuff back. So
all right, PJ, we'll be in touch. But yeah, we can't wait to have you in studio here, PJ, and help your brother. And your brother wants to come in and hang out with us. And I just showed Tim the text. He's like, "Yeah, I'm available Friday or Sunday." I'm like, "Yeah, I don't think I'm going to be here Sunday, but we'll figure out
I got to tell you, I'm having a heck of a day on Friday. We're going to Red for lunch. We're eating there because I told you about that a long time ago.
Wow.
I saw that on like TikTok that we wanted to go. I know it's a good restaurant, so we're heading there. And then we'll come see you for the show, and then we'll hang out, and then we're going to the Red Wings game that night. So it's going to be a heck of a day.
Well, you could and then you could just walk across to the brewery if you wanted to. Just have a cold one in between that, and you get to see the Wings take on Syracuse that night. That's boy, guys, PJ. Like, you know exactly what points to hit there. Lunch at Red, sports bar. It's going to be, you're going to love Rochester. You're going to want to move here, buddy.
I think maybe in the summer, Gene. Winters we'll have to circle back. I don't know if I'm built for that yet.
All right. Fair enough, because there is a date. The date is November 1st. The Baltimore Ravens coming up to play the Bills, so maybe we can get you back up for that. PJ, are you? What's coming up for you this week? Game Day Garage, or can we check you up at MGM tonight? What's on the docket here for you?
A lot going on, Gene. Yeah, Game Day Garage. Another friend of the show, Ryan Horvat, and I, we're doing some college football preview pods, so you can check that out on Game Day Garage, YouTube, Twitter, on Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. I'll be hosting on BetMGM tonight on Friday with Kate Constable, so looking forward to that. And I think that's all we got so far, Gene, for this week, man. But just getting ready for football season. We're getting close.
Nice. So Friday night, everyone got that. PJ hosting, and when you call in, make sure you try to trip PJ up. Just not that I'm suggesting you prank the show and try to get him to say a Baltimore name, but if you ask him for thoughts like about Sal Capaccio or something. PJ, appreciate the time. We'll see you in studio next week.
Looking forward to it, Gene.
Thanks,
all right,
PJ.
man.
PJ Glasser joining us. 585-866-4326. That's last call. It's coming up next. We have some stuff on next we got to get to as well. So your calls, your takes. One last segment we'll tell you about tomorrow's show as well. Gene Battaglia here, WGR Rochester.
Sports Talk. You're hanging out in the sports bar with Gene Battaglia on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950 WGR, Rochester.
There aren't a ton of injuries to be concerned about with the Buffalo Bills entering this season, but there are some carryover issues. And if you weren't with us last hour, we talked to Charlie Schumann, Lattimore Physical Therapy, who great with his insight there. And I thought this was a useful player the Bills certainly could have used. Michael Hoyt, Achilles injury in November. Now, gosh, you go back 2 decades, like Achilles used to be the full-on year. And he pointed out Cam Akers got back in 5 months. I think Charlie's take here, he's onto something. Meaning, hey, Michael Hoyt might be fine. Michael Hoyt might be participating, working out on the side. But just pay attention to how they phrase it. Because as long as the PUP list is kind of still available, physically unable to perform, if you don't see Michael Hoyt out there from the get-go, are they purposely going to slow play this in order to kind of create a quasi-spot, right? You're not putting him on IR. You can't cut him and get him to the practice squad. But could you do this where PUP is an option, and for the first month of the season, this gives you some time, and then you're kind of promoting, Michael Hoyt when the time is right. That's something to consider. Boy, I'm ready for football. I don't know about you. Zach Charbonnet, by the way, Seahawks running back, won in on POP. So I got to start to brush up. Who's going to be the Seahawk running back now? If that's going to be the case.
They drafted somebody at the end of the first round. I'm blanking on the name, but their first round pick was a running back.
So they're okay. We got to learn that running back's name, I suppose. We'll talk fantasy when we kind of get there. 585-866-4326 is the number to give us a shout.
Jadarian Price.
Thank you. You can write to us on X, too, as Jack did. Gene, I got to disagree with your take in your last segment yesterday. The Bears won't build in Chicago. I agree with you on that. But it won't be in Gary, Indiana. The stadium will be built in Chuck Muncie, Indiana. Oh, jokes don't ever die here in the sports bar. Chuck Muncie, the great Chuck Muncie. That's a callback to when I was doing this in college. I would get pranked with just Chuck Muncie calls. I would take the call and think it was a legit call, and ultimately that caller would work their way somehow. All roads led to Chuck Muncie, and it I just had to kind of grin and bear it. It's college radio at its finest. But here we are, some X number of years later, and if you're with your college buddies, those jokes never die if you're still friends. And Chuck Muncie, unfortunately, is never with us. Is no longer with us. He was a running back for the Chargers who he was great. He would also get coked up on prior to games, like as documented in
the glory days, they say.
The glory days. Like when you do Ron Burgundy and Anchorman San Diego, that's the time, the era of San Diego Charger football where they were freebasing cocaine prior to games. Because you know what? That was the day and age back then. 585-866. Thank you, Jack. That would have been something. Tomorrow on the show, hey, it's kind of like our last sort of day before we get to Buffalo Bills week. We will talk to a local athlete who's one of the best in the country. If you're not familiar with the story of Joey Whalen, he's coming in the studio with us tomorrow. Webster's Joey Whalen, who is a contender in the marathon coming up for the U.S. Olympics in 2028. So we will talk about that and have some fun on the show here tomorrow. If you missed any of today's show, PJ Glasser, Charlie Schumann, well, Dan DeLorean, Dan Drummey has it in bite-sized form for you wherever you get your fine audio in bite-sized form. Also inside the Odyssey app, 1 to 3 Eastern, we are on locally. Thank you to Tim Schneider. Thank you to Dan Drummey. Thank you to Francesco Simone for sitting in today as well. My name is Gene Battaglia. Shope and the Bulldog coming your way next here on the Sports Leader, WGR Rochester.
So much action.